Hi guys, I'm Kristen Rogers and thank you for visiting my channel. Here I'll be sharing food and lifestyle videos that can help you move towards a healthier, tastier, and more eco-conscious life. Today we'll be making a year-round staple that can be nostalgically recalled from homes and coffee shops around the nation, banana bread. I hope this recipe warms you up and brings some comfort to you and your loved ones. Although we're making banana bread today, what's important is that we're making a veganized version. A lot of baked goods can easily be made vegan by substituting nut milk, chia or flax seeds, and vegan butter for milk, eggs, and butter. The binder in this bread will be ground flaxseed with water. So let's get to it. So here are all of our ingredients. On the left, we have our wet counterparts, which are bananas, water, almond milk, vanilla extract, and oil. I'm using vegetable oil today, but you can use a different one such as coconut oil if you'd like. And on the right, we have our dry ingredients, which are white flour, pink salt, baking soda, cinnamon, and ground flaxseed. And my sugar that I'm using today is a little mix of brown sugar and white sugar. My recipe just calls for white sugar, but you can use whichever one you'd like. So first you want to get a large bowl to mash your bananas in. One of the keys to great banana bread is using bananas that have been allowed to ripen for days, which produces a sweeter, softer bread. So these bananas have been ripening for about 8 or 9 days now, and this is what they look like. I typically like them a little more black, but I'm making this for an environmental communications class tomorrow, so it has to be done today. So we're just gonna get about maybe 3.5 of these. As you can tell, they're really ripe since one just fell into the bowl. I normally like to use 3 large bananas, but these are kind of small, so we'll maybe use a little more than 3 of these. Another good tip for knowing if your bananas are ripe, besides them being brown and spotty, is if you can smell them. Generally, if you're looking for any fruit that's going to be ready, ripe and soft to eat, if you can smell it, that's always a good sign. So now that our bananas are peeled, you can mash them with a large spoon or a fork. You can also use a traditional potato masher, but I generally just reach for a big fork like this in my kitchen. So you have to continue to mash these until there are very few lumps. So just press really hard on it with the fork and mash it into one mixture. I think I'll just use about maybe 2/3 of this banana. And you can see that it's starting to mash up really nicely. And as you mash them, you can smell the oils from the banana coming out into the air, so you know that you'll have a really flavorful bread. So it looks mashed, and some might think that this is good enough, but you can see that there are still a lot of large lumps like this one. If you have too big and too many lumps, that banana flavor won't disperse as well into your bread, and you'll have chunks throughout. And those chunks are usually pretty hard too. Alright, those are mixed pretty well. You can see very small lumps, but they'll dissolve during cooking and when mixing. Now, before or after you have all of your ingredients mixed, you want to go ahead and create your binder. What we're going to use today is ground flaxseed and water, and a binder, or especially a vegan one, is what will replace the egg that is traditionally used in other bread recipes. So just take 2 tablespoons of flaxseed and add it into about 1/3 cup of water. You can mix that in with a spoon. So it's all mixed together. Now that the flaxseed is mixed up, you can set that aside and let it set while you mix together the rest of your ingredients. So now you've got a large bowl for your dry mix. So we want to mix together about 2 cups of flour, And you're also going to need about a half teaspoon of baking soda. About the same amount of pink salt. And cinnamon is not always an addition to banana bread, but I like to add a little bit in mine, so we'll do about half a teaspoon of that too. Now we're going to do what might be a little unorthodox and add a little bit of coffee grounds. This isn't a traditional addition to banana bread either, but I like to add it because I think it adds a little more depth of flavor to the bread. Next we'll add in our sugar. This is about 3/4 cups total of brown sugar and white sugar. Okay, we're just going to stir together the dry ingredients until they're all mixed throughout. The brown sugar is a little stickier and clumpy, so you want to make sure you mash those chunks out before you pour the wet mixture in. So now that both sets of ingredients are mixed, we're going to create a well in the center of our dry ingredients. Now go ahead and pour the bananas in. And pour the rest of your wet ingredients in. About a half cup of vegetable oil. And your almond milk, which is about a 1/3 cup. Then you can add your flaxseed mixture, which replaces the egg. Now you can stir all that up. Alright, next you want to get a loaf pan that is either non-stick or greased. I'm using a non-stick that is greased, but you can use either one. I just sprayed it with a little baking spray. I also mixed in about a teaspoon or more of vanilla extract since I forgot to do in the last take. So we're just going to pour that in. Make sure you scrape all the edges out. Now we're going to go ahead and place the bread in the oven and cook it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for an hour to an hour and 5 minutes. Okay, so now that the bread has been cooking for about 60 minutes, we can stick a skewer in the middle of it to see if it's done. And that's how it came out. Sometimes if the skewer comes out with the batter kind of clinging to it a little bit, you can put it back in and add another few minutes of cooking time, but this skewer has come out clean, so we can take the bread out of the oven. And now that the bread is done, we'll go on to the hardest part, which is letting it cool for at least 15 to 20 minutes. After that, we'll set it on a wire rack or a cutting board, slice into it and see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so the bread has been cooling for about 25 minutes now, so I've removed it from the nonstick pan and set it on top of this cutting board here where we can slice it. And you can see the texture is really nice and spongy. It's not too dense, so we'll cut another one to look at it better. So it has a great crust on top. You can hear that when I'm slicing it. You can hear the crunch. And this is how it turned out. This banana bread is something I am so glad to have replicated since I went vegan, since it's something my mother always made when I was a kid. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and please leave a comment if you decide to make it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.